So I'm just going to do some really quick reflections on my own personal experience of Tina Turner, who everyone is learning right now has passed away at the age of 83. What I remember of Tina Turner actually was the music video and the song for um, I don't want to fight no more. And that song was obviously in the mid 90s, and I was about like possibly between 5 to 7 years old, maybe 8. And without going into too deeply into me personally, things were pretty rough in those days. And my parents' situation at that time, in terms of their marriage, was kind of on the rocks, to put it very politely. And it was pretty bad. And I had suffered immensely as a result of that. Again, without going too personal into it, but when Tina Turner came out with I Don't Want to Fight No Anymore, even though I was just only a kid at the time watching it on MTV back in the 90s, just that phrase, just that line alone instantly sunk in my head as a kid, because that single line described my entire feeling towards my situation at the time. And it completely summed up everything that I had wanted in my family. And it had summed up everything that I had yearned for my parents at the time. And it was oddly a sense of comfort and holding on to something that was very consoling to me. Even especially for someone like Tina Turner, who, if this is not a postscript at all, had her own domestic issues back in the day as well in her particular life. I don't need to mention the details or anything. I mean, she's made it publicly known at this point. Her situations with Ike Turner and that whole situation that had gone down. And yet, despite the hardships and the difficulties that she endured, she also rose herself in prominence, with songs like Private Dancer and What's Love Got to Do with It. For me, though, it's really like I Don't Want to Fight No More is what the song that I associate the most with Tina Turner, because of what I had just mentioned. It found me at a particular time in my life where I was growing up not in the most ideal environment, and yet just that single line in the chorus, just that single line was enough to make me remember her after all these years. And I think it's especially very fitting that such a sentiment is carried by this amazingly powerful woman, this amazing, powerful singer who went through her own tribulations. And I would think that this kind of song is, in particular, was for her the summation of her desire for everything to be peaceful again, of her inner life to not having to be trapped under these emotional darkness that she endured in the 70s and early 80s, you know. And it was probably her own particular desire to find happiness again, to find peace again, to not have these negative emotions just rule and dominate you, which unfortunately has really done a number on millions of people who suffered at the hands of domestic violence. But in her struggle and in her pain, she found an audience, myself included. And it's now crazy to think that here I am now, almost 25, maybe 30 years later, and I've had to go through my own personal struggle to grow where I'm at right now. And oddly enough, now, whenever I think of my parents' situation, it's usually that song that appears in my mind. It's usually that track, and just her, just a powerful bulldozing voice. It just oozes with emotion throughout that entire track. And it could only have happened because it was born from personal experience, But despite all that, she had found happiness through that way. And I think it's more of a better I think she would probably see a much more fitting award than the Hall of Fame or Grammys, to have seen her fans or anyone who was listening to her music. That song in particular, I would imagine she would have felt much more satisfied and joy over people who have gained strength from her perseverance, and who would have gained strength, from hearing that particular song. And that she, in her small way, helped millions of people come out of the darkness in their lives. And I would imagine she would have found that like way more satisfying and way more fulfilling than any Grammy or Hall of Fame nomination or anything. I think she definitely felt that sense of pride in her strength to be able to inspire other people, to dance or to be happy or to, empower themselves, to rise above and look to another day. And that's Tina Turner for me. And that's what that song in particular, what means to me, and how even as a very small, tiny kid, I gained so much courage from that song alone. And the rest of her catalog, the rest of her solo catalog, and I'd say even arguably her songs with Ike Turner, is definitely not a postscript at all. So I just want to say thank you, Tina Turner. Thank you for I Don't Want to Fight No More. Thank you so much for bringing that song into my life. And I hope Queen Mary herself is really finally resting in eternal peace. Of anyone in this planet who deserves that, it's Tina Turner. That's for sure. So thank you so much, Tina, for your life. Thank you so much for your perseverance and your inspiration. And we will never forget you, and I certainly won't. Thank you so much for that song. Rest in peace, Tina Turner.